Hi everyone, I'm Tanvir Nasir, and this is Leadership Biz Cafe, a podcast that explores some of the challenges and opportunities leaders face in today's increasingly complex, fast-paced, and interconnected global market. Leadership Biz Cafe is brought to you by Tanvir Nasir Leadership, our leadership firm that provides both virtual and in-person leadership keynotes, corporate trainings, and consulting services that will help you to improve the way you lead. To learn more about our services and some of the companies and organizations we've had the pleasure to work with, visit our company's website at tanvirnasir.com. And while you're there, check out my award-winning, internationally acclaimed leadership blog as well. And with that, let's head over to the espresso machine and brew up another Leadership Espresso Shot. Over the past several months, I've given a number of virtual keynotes across Europe, the United States, and Canada, where the focus was on how leaders could help their employees pivot from adapting to the various disruptions we've all endured to finding opportunities to build on these new initiatives in order to help the organization grow and succeed in spite of all these external challenges. In many of the email and messaging conversations I had with attendees after these keynotes, a common theme that arose was, how do you sustain this interest in wanting to learn how to improve the way an organization operates and serves their customer base? So for this Leadership Espresso Shot, I'd like to share a few of the ideas I discussed in my keynote on how leaders can promote a continuous learning environment in their organization by exploring 3 simple measures you can take to help encourage a continuous learning mindset. The first measure that will help you to promote a continuous learning mindset in your organization is to encourage your employees to challenge their assumptions of what's possible. Now, to understand the importance of this to promoting a continuous learning mindset, we need to first understand how our brain operates. When our brain performs tasks or makes decisions, it not only taps into the brain's limited energy reserves, but in the process of using that energy, it creates waste byproducts like beta amyloid and other metabolites, which can reduce our brain's ability to concentrate and efficiently perform tasks. An easy way to think of this is how when we do exercise, we use up the energy stored in our muscles to move. As we deplete the energy reserves and start building up metabolites, we begin to experience fatigue, and it becomes harder for us to do the same movements we were doing before with ease. Now, given how we have a limited daily reserve of energy at our disposal, our brain tends to protect us from using it too much by employing shortcuts in the form of habits, where we perform these tasks with minimal thought or effort. Consequently, we end up spending less energy to perform these various tasks. And unfortunately, this also has the negative impact of leading us to limit what we think we're capable of and of what's possible. As such, if you are to ensure your organization remains adaptive to external challenges in order to sustain your competitive edge, as well as to promote your ability to innovate, you need to ensure that your employees are challenging their assumptions of what's possible, that they are given dedicated time to reflect and review on why things are being done a certain way and how they might make improvements going forward. Of course, in order to encourage your employees to challenge their assumptions, you also have to make sure that you're demonstrating to your employees your commitment to addressing those moments when things don't turn out as planned. And this leads us to the second measure you need to employ to promote a continuous learning mindset, which is to provide an environment where your employees feel safe to fail because this is recognized as being a part of the learning process. Again, the importance of this can be best appreciated when we consider how our brain operates. Now, one of the things we're all hardwired to do is to pay more attention to the things we perceive as being negative. This is part of that neurological mechanism commonly known as the fight or flight response. And as a protective measure, This neurological mechanism makes a lot of sense in how it helps to keep us out of harm's way. Unfortunately, it's this same neurological mechanism that can make your employees not only avoid failure, but it can actually increase their stress levels because our brain is looking out to avoid any situation where we might fail. And naturally, when we're focused more on avoiding failure, it's harder for us to be more open to learning. This is why workshops and training sessions are so effective in helping employees to learn new skills and insights. Your employees know going in that they're not expected to have the answers already, which means that it's okay if they get things wrong or fail to succeed at some of the activities being carried out. In many of the workshops I conduct, I intentionally create exercises where I expect attendees to get the wrong answer, to not only help them to challenge their assumptions and see how often we make these assumptions subconsciously, but also so I can create this safe and inviting space where I can tap into their innate sense of curiosity to learn and understand why and how this works. It's this kind of environment that you need to ensure you're creating in your organization as well, so your employees will be able to shift their focus away from avoiding failure to learning new insights and ideas that can help them to do things better going forward. One final point to make note of about continuous learning mindsets and failure is that you also need to make sure you're communicating to your employees that not all failures are created equal. That while some can lead to devastating consequences for the organization, there are many others that, while painful and difficult to overcome, can nonetheless help us to improve how we operate in order to do better going forward. By communicating this idea of failure existing on a spectrum, you will make it easier for your employees to overcome that neurological defense mechanism that tries to keep us within our comfort zone and challenge themselves instead to stretch and grow their competencies and contributions. And with that, let's look at the third measure to promote a continuous learning mindset, which is encouraging your employees to view learning as a shared experience. Now, this last measure ties into one of the three core psychological needs we all have, that of relatedness, where we feel a connection, a bond, and a sense of commonality with those around us. By fostering an environment where your employees share what they've learned, you can use these moments to strengthen the sense of community and belonging that will help your employees to continue to look for ways for us to do better than we do today. This measure will also help you to remind your employees that no one person in your organization, including those in leadership positions, has all the answers, and that the growth and success of your organization is dependent on your ability to build on the collective experiences of everyone in your organization. By sharing what we've learned, we can ensure that these new insights help us to become more adaptive to today's faster-paced 24/7 world, as well as creating conditions that will help your organization to keep improving on how they operate, as your employees will have a greater understanding of what they'll need to do going forward. Treating learning as a shared experience will help your employees to not only reflect on what they've learned, but on why these new insights and ideas matter, of why this learning experience is important, not just in terms of your organization's future growth and agility, but to their ability to become stronger and more valued contributors to your organization's shared purpose. There's no question that over the past 12 months, we've all had to deal with unexpected disruptions to the way we work and live. And as I've discussed in various leadership keynotes I've delivered over these past few months, the focus for many organizations has shifted from how to respond to these disruptions to how can they build and grow within these new adaptations and approaches in order to achieve their long-term goals. Key to this will be how successful you are in promoting a continuous learning mindset amongst your employees, where they are inspired to contribute their full selves to your shared purpose because they know they have the opportunity to become a better version of themselves in the process. Promoting this kind of dynamic within your organization will not only allow you to tap into the native talents, creativity, and insights of those you lead, but it will help you to inspire your employees to believe in the vision that defines your organization's raison d'être, or reason for being, because they know they will acquire the skills and experiences to help make it a reality. And that brings us to the end of another cup of Leadership Espresso Shot. So, some food for thought that I wanted to share here on my podcast after seeing this recurring theme arise in various conversations with attendees after some of my virtual keynotes. And as I mentioned, this idea of promoting a continuous learning environment is one of the topics I cover in my leadership keynotes, and we've only touched briefly on it here. So if you enjoyed learning about this or other insights I've discussed here on my leadership podcast, and you'd be interested in having me share them with your employees, I'd like to invite you to fill out the contact form on our website at tanvirnasir.com so we could start that discussion. You could also check out my speaking page on our company website to learn more about my speaking services and the kinds of topics I cover. In the meantime, I'd like to encourage you to share this or other episodes of my podcast with your colleagues and employees. The easiest way to do this is to simply share a link to my show's podcast page at tanvirnasir.com/LBC. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review my leadership podcast on your preferred podcast platform. And with that, I'm Tanvir Nasir, and you've been listening to Leadership Biz Cafe.